guys, how are you? This is thrivingminimalist.com, and I just finished my tailpipe repair on this Winnebago. It was a severed tailpipe, so not just a spot repair, but an actual severed connection. Used 2 soup cans. So we'll go to Home Depot. I'll show you all the materials I got. I'll show you the footage, and this is something you can definitely do from home. If you have any questions or comments on how to make the repair, post them down below, and I will get back to you. Much love. What's up, guys? At the Home Depot parking lot. Let's go inside. I'm going to show you exactly what you need in order to repair your tailpipe. So first, we are picking up a $9 hacksaw, reusable blades. I'm going to show you more about this tool later on in the video. Also, these brackets, of which I'm getting 6 in total. For your repair, you may only need 2 of these smaller sized ones. I'll show you a picture of the 6 that I'm using. I've got 3 big here and 3 small. And finally, a JB Weld, a metal epoxy. Mix these 2 together and it turns into a very hard metal. So let's get started on this how-to. First of all, this is the hacksaw I picked up from Home Depot. And I'm going to show you how to take this reusable blade off. You can use a screwdriver for this. There's a nut on one side and a screw on the other. You loosen those up and that whole blade comes off. You can also make the blade longer or shorter depending on what you're using it for. You can use these blades for wood, for PVC, for ABS, and for metal. And they work great. They're really cheap, very small, lightweight, just a nice tool to have around. So there's that nut. If you need to, you might need to hold on to the nut when you unscrew the screw. So here I am starting the repair by cutting the end of the tailpipe off that broke from the big section of the tailpipe. You might not have to do this at all, but I needed a clean edge because I need to put my soup can inside the large part of the tailpipe and around the other part of the tailpipe. For your repair, you may just need to put the soup can around the broken tailpipe, and I'll talk more about that a little later on in the video. So here we are cutting our can. You're going to need this tool. This is a pair of snips. It's a roofing tool, often used for metal flashing. And what you're going to do is start your cut at the base of the soup can and make a clean cut all the way through, and then you're going to have to cut off the base. So this was the first soup can that I cut. It was a little bit rugged, so I'm just using a pair of pliers to smooth it down a little bit and start bending it around. I did use all the material of the soup can. If you wanted to, you could cut it down a little bit. So here's what I'm talking about. On your repair, if you just have a broken tailpipe that you can put that soup can around one side and around the other side, then all you're going to need are 2 brackets. And I'm just demoing what that would look like here. So you're going to put 1 bracket on one side and tighten it up. And then you're going to put the other bracket on the other side and tighten that up. So 1 bracket will be on each side of the break of the tailpipe. And then you would just use the JB Weld and epoxy over the entire thing, which I will show you how I'm doing that later on. For this repair, however, I needed to get half of the can inside of the larger part of the tailpipe and the other part of the can on the outside of the opposing tailpipe. So that took a little finesse, a little finagling. I'd say probably 15 to 20 minutes of kind of reworking and finally getting it in there. And then I tightened up the soup can to hold it into place and started figuring out how I wanted to connect and hold those 2 pieces of tailpipe together. And this was the initial arrangement that I set up. And then I added another soup can, 2 more brackets, and really secured that puppy on. So the second soup can is simply going around the first soup can and the tailpipe. And here's the JB Weld, and I'm going to start mixing these 2 things together and creating my metal epoxy. So I took a little time to show you how I do this, and I found that the back of a CD case works really well for this. You simply unscrew each bottle. The back of the cap you use to poke a hole in the metal foil, and then you start squeezing it out onto your CD case. And if you're not going to be using the entire bottle of each, you do want to make sure that they are of equal parts. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm creating a kind of a visual square with the first of the epoxy materials, and then I'm going to create another square that's of the same size and mix the two together. So I think that's just a really helpful technique. You can see I create the outline of that square and I just kind of match it up to the other one. It doesn't have to be exact, but you do want it to be as close as possible without getting crazy. And then I'm just going to use the JB Weld cardboard packaging to mix the two together. And to mix the two, you just want to do just what I'm doing here, just very gently combining, try and keep your area nice and tight, and turning, the white, make sure that there's no white and there's no black left by the time you combine the two. It should all be a very dark gray color. And to apply this, you can use whatever you want. I find that a piece of cardboard works really well because it's flexible, and then I can just throw it away afterwards. So that's what you want it to look like. You can see there's still a little white on the end of the CD case. I'm just mixing that in, making sure everything's nice and blended. For JB Weld, you do have a little bit of time before it starts hardening, 2 to 3 hours working time, and then you do want it to rest for about 15 hours. So here I am applying the JB Weld to the entire setup. You can see there's JB Weld all over the can, and particularly around the brackets, you want to get a lot of JB Weld around those brackets because they're cinched down, and that's where some of that exhaust is going to escape, if it's going to escape at all. You don't just want to do the JB Weld around the seam. It's a good idea to think about creating an entire piece of metal. And just like you wouldn't lay a strip of metal down over a seam, but rather you would have an entire coupling, you want to imagine that you're creating like another tailpipe around the existing tailpipe. So make it one piece. And here I'm just paying close attention to making sure that the bracket that is cinching those soup cans onto the larger part of the exhaust is getting a lot of JB Weld, because that's going to be an area that's going to leak if it's going to leak. So your repair might be, and probably is, a little bit different from this one. So you are going to have to use your creative ingenuity to solve the exact problem that you're faced with. But this is the essential layout, you guys. You just need a can, a couple of brackets, and JB Weld. And then you need to use your brain and put it all together in whatever way makes sense. I ended up using 2 soup cans, 6 brackets, the JB Weld, and it turned out awesome. I'm really, really happy with this repair, and I super recommend that you try it out. What's the worst case scenario? You spend 20 bucks and it fails. But you learn something in the process, and for me, this stuff is really fun to do on my own. So after you get that all set and you've given your JB Weld full 15 hours to cure, you can go ahead and start up your vehicle. And I should have started this up before the repair. This thing was so loud, and now it's nice and quiet. And then you can crawl underneath and just hold your hand around your repair. Don't get too close because it will heat up really fast. And you can feel if there's any air being pushed out, if there's any exhaust being pushed out of the pipe. So I can feel that there is a small section underneath of the pipe repair where the strap is connected that needs a little extra JB Weld, so that's no problem. I can just mix a little metal together, pop it on there. I know exactly where the patch needs to be because I could feel the exhaust coming out on my hand, and put the repair right on there and be all set. But the patch turned out really, really good. I'm super happy with it. It's going to outlast the rest of the tailpipe for sure. In total, it was around a $20 repair. I used 2 JB Weld kits, which were about $6 a piece, and a total of 6 brackets that were about $2 a piece. So really good repair. Otherwise, this would have been a couple $100, maybe more if I had had someone else do it. So something you can definitely do on your own. I hope that's inspiring for you to keep it simple, saving money, keeping your life thrifty, and having fun while you do it. I mean, this was a great repair. I really enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed sharing it with you. So if you have any questions and comments, again, please post down below. If you're not already subscribed, do that, and please click the like button. That lets me know that I'm doing a good job. Much love. Talk to you next time.